Live from WTVO 17 and your home team, Eyewitness News at 5 starts now.
An Oregon man is dead after being shot in Rochelle. Police handcuffed 3 people they say are tied to the homicide as they work to find out what went wrong.
Restaurant owners across the state prepare for mass layoffs after resurgent mitigations require them to close their doors. Their plan to stay afloat as long as possible.
And a new 4-city landmark honors the women's suffrage movement. Artists make their finishing touches after months of preparation. Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Eric Wilson. Rochelle police are called to investigate after an Oregon man is shot to death. 3
people now face charges, including 2 teens. Rochelle police were called to the 1100 block of 1st Avenue just after 9 last night. There they found 37-year-old Devin Bailey with a gunshot wound. He was taken to the hospital but died. 24-year-old Cody Neuschwanger from Polo is charged with first-degree murder and mob action. 2 17-year-olds also from Polo face mob action charges. Both were released to their parents. Neuschwanger was booked into the Ogle County Jail. He's being held on $500,000 bond.
An overnight fire in Rockford causes $30,000 in damage. It started just before 1 a.m. in a detached garage on 10th Avenue near Woodruff. When firefighters got on scene, they saw flames shooting from the garage. First responders got the fire out quickly. A nearby fence, utility trailer, and van were damaged. No one was hurt.
The Rockford Diocese named 6 more priests accused of sexual abuse. 2 had ties to the Rockford area. David Hyman worked at St. Peter in Rockford. He reportedly died. Aloysius Pirokowski was with St. Peter Church of South Beloit. He died in 1978. The 4 others were assigned to parishes in the suburbs. In 2004, the diocese outlined the history of sexual abuse of minors within the diocese and the procedures for reporting and addressing it. Bishop David Malloy encourages anyone who wants to report an allegation to call the police and contact the diocese.
Illinois restaurant owners fight back against state-mandated COVID-19 restrictions. The Illinois Restaurant Association says thousands of food industry jobs will be lost in a second round of closures. Limitations on dining mean an estimated 86% of restaurants will not make a profit this year. The association plans to join a growing list of restaurant owners challenging with a lawsuit Governor J.B. Pritzker's power to shut down businesses. The governor doubles down on restrictions after he announces resurgence mitigations in Region 6 will start next week. That covers the east central part of Illinois, including Champaign County. The addition means all but 1 region in the state are supposed to ban indoor dining at bars and restaurants. Governor Pritzker believes limiting close contact is the best way to prevent coronavirus-related deaths.
So when I ask you to wear a mask, when I ask you to take care of your community, it's not because I think it's fun to ask. It's because I've heard directly from those who have lost someone that they love.
The governor also urged all residents to be safe this Halloween by wearing masks and not engaging in behavior that could spread COVID-19. A 3-panel mosaic tower is unveiled outside the Rock River Valley YMCA in downtown Rockford.
It pays homage to influential women in the state line and around the world. Organizers behind the 15-foot-tall sculpture tell Michelle Rave it's a project people will marvel at for years to come.
It is so fulfilling. I can hardly believe that we actually have it up.
After a months-long delay due to COVID-19, the Women's Suffrage Centennial 2020 group unveils its women's suffrage sculpture.
And we call this a community build project, meaning that there are over 100 people who so far have contributed to this endeavor, some more intensely and some by doing small pieces that have been embedded in this piece.
Located next to the Log Lodge at the Riverfront YMCA, Women's Space Director Elaine Hirschenberger says it's the perfect spot.
I love the stars that are under the 3 triangles.
The dynamic sculpture honors over 30 women, including 12 locally, like Kate O'Connor and Dr. Constance Good,
who have been very empowering mentors and leaders of different professions and women's rights. And so we are very honored to have all of them. There have been 14 organizations working for this over the past year. We have many cooperative partnerships with people.
The League of Women Voters was just one organization that helped with the project. Members say it was important for them to get involved.
The women that have made this sacrifice to get us to vote, it's the women who are voting now, and it's for the women who will be voting in the future. We're doing this for our children, our children's children, our daughters, our granddaughters.
I think it will be a very loved new landmark in Rockford.
Reporting in Rockford for your home team, I'm Michelle Rave.
A seat on the RPS 205 school board opens up after a member steps down. School board member Anthony Dixon filed a letter of resignation this week. It goes into effect tomorrow. Dixon represented Subdistrict A since 2017. The school board has 45 days to find a replacement. The candidate's term would begin in early December and run through next April. Applications for the vacancy close November 20th. Find the link to apply using the My State Line mobile app. You can put those blue bins back out with the garbage again next week. After 2 weeks on pause, recycling collection for the city of Rockford will resume Monday. Between illness, isolation, and quarantine from COVID-19, Rockford Disposal had too small a staff to pick up recycling. Anything that was put out over the last few weeks was taken as garbage.
If you live in Illinois' 17th Congressional District, you'll have a decision about who you want to represent you in Washington, D.C. The district stretches from parts of Rockford, south and west to the Quad Cities.
Elliot Grandia sat down with both candidates to get their take on hot-button issues affecting state line residents. Eyewitness News is your local election headquarters.
Sherry Bustos has been a representative for the 17th District since 2013. She was actually born in Springfield, working as an investigative reporter and then in the healthcare industry prior to stepping into her current role. Her opponent, Esther King, is now a member of the U.S. Army Reserve, serving as an attorney when she's off duty. While as parts of District 17 seeing the highest rates of COVID-19 around the state, I asked the question, should more relief be coming to the district and what should get priority funding?
This virus has not paused for 1 minute, for 1 second for that matter. And then it was just about a month ago when I flew back out to Washington again and passed another relief package, again, sent it over to the Senate, and it didn't go anyplace else. And I pray that we will have something to vote on sooner rather than later so we can get help out to so many of the families that are desperate for the help.
When I'm out talking with business owners, they're saying, hey, Esther, we can't do another shutdown. We are already struggling. We're barely making it right now, and we're not going to be able to survive if we have to go through another shutdown. So some of the federal stimulus efforts that can happen, one big thing that we can do is make sure the PPP program, it continues and is well funded.
Divisive rhetoric has plagued this election season, both candidates saying finding that middle ground in D.C. starts with themselves.
80% of the bills that I have voted for this congressional session have been bipartisan, 80%. And 3 out of every 4 pieces of legislation that I have written out of my own office and introduced, I have a Republican co-sponsor on day one.
I think healing and togetherness comes by, in those moments, we have the dialogue and we have the hard conversations. And maybe it means instead of cutting off a conversation, we say something like, you know, I disagree with you, but I'd really like to understand where you're coming from, so tell me more.
For your local election headquarters, I'm Elliot Grandia.
Now your first warm weather forecast with meteorologist Kevin Doom.
Let's start you off with a beautiful look over the Park Hills Golf Course in Freeport using Mercy L Skytrack. We're looking at it, just a gorgeous fall evening. Got lots of blue sky, lots of sunshine, not even a cloud in the sky for the time being, but temperatures are on the cooler side. They've been stuck in the 40s since earlier on this morning. 45 degrees the current temperature here in Rockford, and 42 in Rochelle, 41 in Freeport, and 40 currently for those of you down in DeKalb. But much warmer air is situated well out to our west. I know it's pretty far out to our west, but it's actually going to quickly move its way across the plains and into the Midwest, eventually make its way into the state line here by tomorrow. So we are expecting things to warm up quite a bit for our Halloween tomorrow. But at least, even though it's been cold, at least as we saw, we have lots of sunshine overhead. Not really much cloud cover either, and no rain whatsoever anywhere even near the state line. That's all thanks to this very big and very strong system of high pressure situated down to our southwest. It's creating sort of this big bubble of just very clear, very dry weather across a big portion of the country. But we are keeping a close eye on a storm system. It's still well up develop to our northwest, but it's quickly going to make its way to the southeast toward the state line. Going to bring a cold front across the state line later on this weekend, bring us a slight chance for a little bit of rain, and really going to cool us off for the latter half of the weekend as well. It's also really going to pick up our wind speeds, and why that is because if we look here, what we're looking at is atmospheric pressure down near the surface. Right now, as I mentioned, we're under a system of high pressure, but as the storm system approaches from the northwest, that's indicated by these warmer colors here. These lines of equal pressure here sort of tighten up, creates what we call a very tight pressure gradient, basically pressure changing drastically over just a very short area. And when you see these lines tighten up here, that's when our wind speeds really accelerate, and that is what we're looking at exactly for tomorrow as well. Similar story on Sunday. You can see these lines still very close together. It's going to create some very strong winds for Sunday as well. However, if we go into tomorrow, our winds are going to be coming out of the south and southwest. That's going to create a very warm wind, going to really warm us up here in the state line. The opposite is true for Sunday. Our winds are now going to remain strong, but this time come out of the northwest, bringing a lot of very cold air down into the state line, really cool us down for our Sunday, but very breezy this weekend nonetheless. So if you have anything outdoors, any Halloween decorations, for instance, that might blow away, make sure they're nice and secure for this weekend. Now looking ahead with our futurecast, conditions going to remain mostly clear through the rest of the evening and through the night here and even into tomorrow. Now you can see these winds coming out of the southwest and really picking up in speed as well. So we're expecting lots of sunshine for our Halloween is basically the story for tomorrow. A few more clouds are going to move in later on tomorrow evening as this cold front approaches the state line. It's going to bring us a slight chance for a little bit of light rain late tomorrow into the overnight hours between tomorrow and Sunday. Now we'll hang on to some of this added cloud cover going into Sunday, but by Sunday afternoon most of that should clear away and we should be seeing a good bit of sunshine, at least for the latter half of the Sunday. Now tonight temperatures will drop likely below freezing in most areas, mostly clear skies overhead, leading to lots of sunshine tomorrow as temperatures near the upper 50s, even nearing 60 for some areas at times. If you do plan on going trick-or-treating, you really have nothing to worry about. Lots of sunshine, very warm temperatures. Should still even be in the 50s or at least close to the 50s by the time you wrap up in the 7 or 8 o'clock hour or so. But temperatures do fall back into the lower 40s by Sunday. We're back into the 50s by Monday, 60s for much of this upcoming week.
Now, the Napleton Sports Desk with Sports Director Scott Lepper.
The only thing that can help the Bears get over that disastrous showing this past Monday night against the Rams is a strong showing Sunday against the Saints. That would lift everyone's spirits. After Monday night, you'd probably say there is no chance the Bears can win this game, but here's why I think they have a shot. First, the game is at Soldier Field. It'll be chilly, but more importantly, very windy, and that'll be a great defense against Drew Brees in the passing game. He'll stick with a lot of short stuff. Also add in the fact that 3 of the Saints' top 4 receivers won't play because of injuries, and one of them is Michael Thomas. When Thomas and Alvin Kamara are both on the field, it's tough for any defense to contain them both. Now the Bears defense only has to worry about Kamara. Third, the Saints are a good team, but not quite as strong as they were the last couple of years. But I can't pick the Bears because of their offense, and now they're down 2 starting offensive linemen, and that man, Aaron Robinson, is doubtful with a concussion. The Bears' best offense will probably be their defense again, and a Cordero Patterson kickoff return for 6 would certainly help. The Bears could pull out an ugly win on a Cairo Santos field goal, but I'm going with the Saints, 17-13. At Lambeau Field, the Packers will host the Vikings. The Packers won a 43-34 shootout in the season opener in Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers passed for 4 touchdowns in that game. I expect him to have another big day picking on a Vikings secondary that's one of the worst in the NFL. They've got some injuries back there and a couple rookies at corner. Kirk Cousins was solid in that first game against the Pack, but he's been a disappointment since then. And as usual, Dalvin Cook is not healthy. He'll try to play through a groin injury. Aaron Jones will sit this one out again for the Packers, and again, they won't need him. The Packers will defeat the Vikings again big, 41-17. That's sports. We'll be right back.
Let's take a look at our First Warn Interactive Radar, sponsored by Rockford Auto Glass and More. You can find this on mystateline.com. No rain anywhere near the state line. We're just seeing lots of sunshine right now. Very similar story for tomorrow. The only difference, it's going to be very, notably warmer. Temperatures in the upper 50s, nearing 60 degrees in a few areas. It's also going to be very breezy. That's actually what's going to help warm us up tomorrow. Wind gusts coming out of the south and southwest at around 30 to 35 miles an hour. But otherwise, aside from a few breezy winds, you're looking at a very pleasant Halloween overall. In fact, trick-or-treating is going to be very pleasant. 50s for most of of your trick-or-treat tomorrow night if you do decide to go trick-or-treating. However, the warm weather is not going to stick around through the weekend. Temperatures drop back down into the lower 40s for Sunday, although conditions should remain mostly dry with a good amount of sunshine as well. We reach the 50s again by Monday and then nearing 60 by Tuesday. In fact, much of this upcoming week could be spent in the 60s, even heading into next weekend. Temperatures look to be overall well above average.
Sounds good. Wasn't it just a couple of years, or last year, that we had a couple inches of snow on Halloween? So this isn't a bad forecast.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a completely different story. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.